Hey, Pete.
Yeah.
How polished are your 5-note voicings?
Well, I was just at the manicurist a few minutes ago, and I'm all polished up.
Dude. I'm Adam Maness.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Daily jazz advice coming at you.
Coming at you from beautiful St. Louis, Missouri on a Thursday.
That's right.
Yeah.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, everyone. And today we are taking a user question. Do we need headphones? We don't need headphones.
No. Should we take them off?
I would like to.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Big shout out to YouTube, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to our listeners who didn't need to hear any of that.
Yeah, we could have done all that earlier. No, big shout out to YouTube. Big shout out to the podcast. Big shout out to Stitcher, as always.
Okay.
But YouTube, we've been getting some folks getting up early, watching us on the YouTubes, which I think is great. And I actually have some ideas for YouTube, but I haven't fully vetted them with you, so we're not going to announce them yet. Okay.
Okay. I love surprises.
Note to self. Let's talk about that later. Okay?
Gotcha.
I didn't need to hear about that either.
Our YouTube channel is kind of blowing up. It's a thing now. It's great.
Yeah.
But today we're dealing with a question from an email, not from YouTube or from you'llhearit.com.
We're going old school.
Yes, we're going old school. We got an AOL account.
You've got mail.
No, we usually get questions at you'llhearit.com. You can leave us a question. You can leave us a voicemail.
Yep.
You can also leave us now a question in YouTube, but you can also email us.
Yeah.
And this email is from Steve. Steve says, "Hi, all. Really enjoying the podcast and everything else. This might be a good subject for a podcast. I'm wondering how polished I want to get with learning Peter's sample demos and other specific pieces. For example, you've pointed me towards studying the Wynton Kelly solo on Freddie Freeloader. That's always what we point you towards if you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time. Is my time better spent getting the whole solo at performance level at full tempo or getting a good sense of the lessons to be learned from the piece?"
The answer is yes.
Yeah. And this goes especially for the demos and the elements. That's, of course, he's referring to.
Right.
And moving on. Part of me wants to spend as much time as necessary to get it close to perfect, which in my case could be many weeks. But I also feel like it's keeping me away from all the incredible material you offer. And if I'm woodshedding, Freddie for over a month. Either way, I know it's all good as I'm improving my technique, ear training style, reading, etc. But just looking for your input. Thanks for everything you offer, and happy Thanksgiving. This came in just before Thanksgiving, so hope you had a great Thanksgiving, Steve. It's a good question, and your initial reaction, I think, is the correct one, which is yes.
All the above.
To all of it, yeah.
Well, I think it's what were we saying the other day? We were talking about good. Don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. This is probably one of these quotes that's totally screwed up. So I'm sure I'm butchering it. I don't even know who said it. But, like, how do we, and I think this is kind of what his question, like, how do we find that place closest to where we've gotten the most out of the activity, learning the solo, working on the exercise, learning the particular piece, practicing on the scale, whatever it is, where we're getting into diminished returns territory, right? That's what he's asking?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Or just, if he focuses on one thing, is it keeping him from learning many other things that he needs to be doing? My answer to that is, what's your hurry?
Yeah. There's that, but I think that if you can start to get into a thing, and this comes from experience in terms of practice, but where you can identify where you're like, cool, I got what I need out of this. It's time to move on.
Yeah.
What you can do is, until you are able to identify that better, one thing is to kind of have a little bit of overlap.
Totally.
Like especially for talking about learning Freddie Freeloader solo, and you said like a month. That's not a long time to work on that solo.
No.
I almost anybody, unless you're doing 10 hours a day just on that, which, so you're already gonna have overlap within your practice routine in terms of doing, technical exercises, working on a solo, learning a tune, practicing voicings, all the different activities we talk about. But like you might say, well, I got so much out of this, but am I done? I can't play it exactly like Wynton Kelly. Okay, maybe not. But you might be thinking about the next solo you're going to do. So like what I used to do a lot was, as I was getting towards the end of learning a solo, I'm already listening to the next one, focusing, maybe even starting a little bit where I'm kind of more working on just playing along with the record, and getting closer with that, and have a little bit of overlap so that it doesn't have to be like, well, when am I done and when do I move on? You can do both.
Yeah, you can do both. You're never really done with it. You're never going to be able to play it exactly like Wynton Kelly. But if you imagine if you took a month, which isn't, like you said, a long time, But Steve, imagine if you did take a month and just tried to get that solo as close to Wynton's playing as possible. Can you imagine all the things he would learn in that process? I mean, you would get really, really good, but you don't have to go all in on that. I think the episode we did on Monday, was it Monday? Yeah, about patience.
Yeah.
That can come into this a little bit too.
Yeah.
You know, there's no hurry. If
Right.
this is a part of your life, if you're going to be, you know, a musician and really keep at it, then, you know, where are you going so fast? You can keep working on Freddie Freeloader. I think the answer is like as long as you're engaged with it.
Engaged, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think that's kind of like, you know, when you're feeling passionate about practicing something, like there's always those things where like, oh, I have to practice them.
Right.
And then there's the things that are like, I'm passionate and I want to practice them. It's still hard work, but I'm so engaged in it. And I think it's okay to even let go of some things that maybe some teachers are telling you have to do this. At least like, maybe you have that as just part of your practice, and then you have that passionate area that maybe you're kind of overdoing, but you're still getting stuff out of it, and you're engaged, you're at the instrument, you're developing. So it needs to be a little bit of give and take with these kind of things. But I think, you know, going to the side of passionate. Now, I would recommend people do not confuse what you're passionate about with what you're good at.
Yeah.
Because I do see a lot of people practicing, sitting down at the piano or at their instrument, and spending a fair amount of time on things they already know how to do.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. You know, or you can do that, but don't expect to have great results
Yeah.
in terms of improving. So I think that, you know, and then this is also not to get in the way, not to get confused with maintenance work, which we need a certain amount of. And that's why kind of the first thing we were talking about in terms of having several things going on, a little bit of overlap can take care of a little bit of sloppiness in terms of when you're starting and stopping things.
One thing I would recommend, Steve, is that you actually start maybe a Freddie Freeloader journal while you're learning this. Take a month, and write down some goals that you want to have by the end, and maybe some you know mid goals through the weeks that you want to reach, and that'll help you kind of stay on course. It'll help you keep engaged with it, and then, you know, as you're going along, pull out in your journal, like write down the things that you're getting out of it, because you're going to learn new stuff that could apply to the, you know, you're talking about the other material that you're working on. You're going to learn so much that could apply to that stuff. Voicings and lines and time and phrases that you're going to want to practice once you're past this, or even, you know, in the midst of this. If you keep a journal and you know where you're going and you know where you've been, you don't have to feel maybe that you have to just do this all or nothing. You can do this in conjunction with other things. And then also you get to see you get to track your results, like your growth, and you get to like keep track of the ideas that are coming out of learning the solo.
Yeah. And so I think also, you know, this brings to mind too, is just kind of getting feedback, and like what Steve, I think, is asking is for feedback on kind of these things of when to do them, which is great. But we want to try to find ways to get feedback on our playing, be it how we're playing a Freddie Freeloader solo, how we're playing a tune, how we're just playing, period, something we're working on. And you can do a certain amount of that yourself, I think, by recording yourself.
Definitely.
And it's so easy now because, you know, most people have a phone or some kind of device where you can just record it. So that's good to get feedback from other musicians. I want to, you know, something that we can do here, I've been interested in doing, and maybe I'll just kind of throw an idea out and see if anybody bites. And that is like, you know, maybe post a little, Steve could do that maybe. Playing a little Freddie Freeloader, maybe playing along with the recording, do a little video, maybe one of the choruses, put it on Instagram or something. And if you're on the IG, as we say, and maybe tag Hey Open Studio, and we could check it out. But better than that, the community could kind of check it out and give you some feedback, maybe some ideas. I mean, we're always talking about all the horrible things that social media is doing in the world, which is true, but we can kind of use it to connect with other people that are interested in, and give each other positive. And it's not even about positive feedback. It's helpful. Don't worry about positive feedback. I want to know about helpful feedback.
Yeah, if
you know what I mean?
Don't post anything just expecting everybody to be like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, you should be wanting to get the things that you need to work on.
Yeah.
Try to do it with as much love as possible.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
If you're criticizing.
But we're all out here to help each other. And I mean, look, everything that we do here is about helping people, but a lot of times it's with the one-way video lesson. But we'd love to kind of hear some stuff.
And that's a great idea. So if you're the brave type, Hey at Hey Open Studio, on Instagram or Twitter, and hit us up with your practice video. Maybe even if we get enough of these and we get some courageous folks who are willing to let us, we could even do a feedback episode. Feedback Friday.
Tag us in there, and we'd love to hear it, and then maybe we'll put up some of our own stuff. I need to get back into Wynton Kelly solo. I love that solo, man. Love that bad boy.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve. That's a great
thanks,
question.
Steve.
Hope this helps. And,
Where's Steve from? Did he say?
He does not say.
Oh, he didn't say. Okay.
No, I can't get
Prefers-
super specific.
prefer-
PP.
Prefers to stay geographically anonymous.
He
Nothing
says
wrong
Happy
with that.
Thanksgiving, so I'm assuming America,
Right.
but I could be wrong about
They have
that.
Canadian. They have like Canadian. They have Thanksgiving around the world, but it's all different times of years.
Yeah, but it only matters
Ours
to
is
me.
bad enough.
I'm just
Ours is bad
selfish, so
enough.
it's just whatever's in front of my face is all I
Right.
care about.
Cool.
Well,
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, you'll hear it.